My name is Elena Brooks. I'm 29 years old, and for 2.5 years, I believed I was being loving, supportive, patient, understanding. I didn't think of myself as someone who kept score. I made more money than my boyfriend Mark, and I never saw that as leverage. I saw it as balance. Temporary imbalance, at least. He worked freelance in digital marketing. Projects came and went, invoices dragged, clients disappeared without warning. My job, on the other hand, paid on time, every time. Salary, benefits, predictability. So when Mark mentioned in last year that his phone bill was crushing him, I added him to my family plan without hesitation. When he joked that Netflix prices were getting ridiculous, I shared my account. Spotify, Amazon Prime, a grocery delivery subscription that sent organic snacks to his apartment twice a month, things he liked, but said he couldn't justify right now. It wasn't dramatic, it wasn't transactional. It was quiet, casual generosity. The kind you don't announce because you assume it's understood. We didn't live together, but we were close enough that I had a key to his place. Close enough that people assumed we were heading somewhere permanent. Close enough that when he talked about the future, I believed him. Until last Thursday night. It was 11:30 p.m. and I was still at my dining table, laptop open, polishing a presentation for a client meeting the next morning. My phone buzzed. A text from Mark. Hey babe, just wanted to give you a heads up. Don't overreact, but Emma showed up at my place tonight. She'd been drinking and said it was too late to drive home, so I let her crash on the couch. Didn't want her getting a DUI or something. I know it's weird, but I was just trying to be a decent person. Love you. Emma, his ex-girlfriend. The woman he'd dated for 3 years before me. The woman he'd sworn he hadn't spoken to in over a year. The woman he'd described as ancient history so convincingly that I'd stopped asking questions about her altogether. I stared at the screen longer than I want to admit. My first instinct was to call him. Demand explanations. Ask why this, of all choices, felt necessary. But something held me back. Maybe it was the phrase, don't overreact. People only say that when they already know they've crossed a line. Or maybe it was the fact that he texted instead of calling, as if this was information to be delivered, not discussed. Or maybe it was instinct, that quiet, sinking feeling in your stomach that doesn't scream, but whispers. So I did the opposite of what my emotions begged me to do. I typed, "Makes sense. Stay safe." He replied immediately, a heart emoji, as if my calm response had reassured him that everything was fine. It wasn't. I didn't sleep that night. I lay on my couch, phone face down on my chest, replaying every version of events I could think of. Maybe she really was on the couch. Maybe nothing happened. Maybe I was projecting insecurity onto a situation that didn't deserve it. But every time I tried to talk myself down, that phrase echoed again. Don't overreact. At 6 a.m., something in me shifted. Not anger, not revenge. Clarity. I opened my phone and went methodically through my accounts. First, I removed Mark's line from my phone plan. Then Netflix, changed the password, deleted his profile. Spotify, same thing. Amazon Prime, revoked access. The grocery subscription, canceled. One by one, I disconnected myself. By 6:45 a.m., it was done. Then I waited. At 9:23 a.m., the first text came through. My phone isn't working. Did you forget to pay the bill or something? I didn't respond. 10 minutes later, babe, Netflix isn't loading either. What's going on? Still nothing. By noon, my phone was vibrating nonstop. The messages shifted quickly, confusion curdling into irritation, irritation sharpening into accusation. Are you seriously ignoring me right now? This is childish. I told you nothing happened. Emma left early this morning. Why are you acting like this? At 1 p.m., I finally replied. We need to talk. I'll come by tonight at 7. His response was instant. Finally. Yes, please come over. I'll explain everything. I didn't tell him I wasn't planning to arrive at 7. I showed up at 6:30. I still had my key. The apartment was quiet when I let myself in. No music, no TV, just the low hum of the refrigerator. Then I heard laughter, his laugh, and a woman's. It was coming from the bedroom. I walked down the hallway slowly, every step heavier than the last. The door was cracked open. I pushed it wider. Mark was sitting on the bed in an oversized t-shirt and sweatpants. Emma was next to him, shoes off, comfortable, leaning close. They were sharing earbuds, watching something on his laptop like this was the most natural thing in the world. They both looked up at the same time. What the hell? Mark said, scrambling to his feet. You said 7, Emma added, her tone sharp, defensive. I changed my mind, I said. And in that moment, standing there with my spare key still warm in my hand, I knew. No matter what he said next, something essential had already broken. For a split second, no one moved. Mark's mouth opened, then closed again, like he was scrambling to select the right version of events fast enough to outrun what I was seeing with my own eyes. Emma sat frozen on the bed, one earbud still dangling, her knee pulled up casually like she'd been there all afternoon. "You said 7, Mark repeated, like the schedule mattered more than the scene. "I know what I said," I replied. My voice surprised me, steady, almost bored. "I also know you said she left at 7 this morning." Emma glanced at him. Not a quick look, a loaded one. "She did," Mark said too quickly. "She just came back." "For what?" I asked. Emma jumped in before he could answer. "I forgot my wallet. I came by to grab it, and we ended up talking for a bit, that's all. You're reading way too much into this." I looked at the bed, at the laptop balanced between them, at the shared earbuds, at the way his socked foot was angled toward her, not me. "You're in your pajamas," I said finally. "She's sitting on your bed." Mark exhaled sharply, frustration flashing across his face. "Why are you making this weird?" That was the pivot. The moment the conversation stopped being about what happened and became about my reaction to it. "We're just friends," Emma added, folding her arms. Nothing happened. I turned my attention to her for the first time fully. "I wasn't asking you." Mark stepped between us slightly. Subtle, protective. I felt something cold settle in my chest. "Emma," he said, not looking at her, "can you give us a minute?" She hesitated, long enough to make a point. Then she stood, slipping on her shoes slowly, deliberately. "I don't want drama," she said, brushing past me. "I thought you two were basically broken up anyway." My head snapped toward Mark. "What?" "She misunderstood," he said immediately. "I never said that." Emma paused at the door. That's not how it sounded. Then she left. The door clicked shut behind her, and the silence that followed was louder than the laughter I'd heard earlier. Mark turned to me, running a hand through his hair. "You ambushed me. That's not fair." "I came to my boyfriend's apartment," I said, "using the key you gave me." "You said 7, and you lied about this morning." He frowned. "I didn't lie." "You said she left at 7. She didn't." "She did leave," he insisted. "She just came back." I stared at him. "Do you hear yourself?" "She forgot her wallet, Elena. It's not a crime." "No," I said quietly, "but lying about it is." His shoulders tensed. I didn't think it mattered. That was the second pivot. If it didn't matter, he wouldn't have said, "Don't overreact." If it didn't matter, he wouldn't have texted instead of called. If it didn't matter, she wouldn't be sitting on his bed 12 hours later. "I'm not comfortable with this," I said. He crossed his arms. "With what?" "With you having your ex sleepover, with her coming back, with you minimizing it, with you acting like I'm unreasonable for noticing." "She's my friend," he snapped. "You don't get to control who I see." I nodded once. "You're right, I don't." His expression shifted, triumphant almost. "But," I continued, "I also don't have to fund your life while you disrespect me." That landed. His eyes flicked to his phone on the nightstand, like he was just now connecting the dots. "So that's what this is about," he said. "You're punishing me financially." "No," I replied. "I'm stepping back from a situation I'm not okay with." "You cut off my phone," he said incredulously. "My streaming, everything." "They were under my name," I said. "I removed myself." "You did it to make a point." "I did it because I'm done pretending this is normal." He scoffed. "Nothing happened." "I don't believe you." That was it. The line he couldn't cross. His face hardened. "You're being insecure." "And you're being dishonest." Silence stretched between us, thick, final. "I think you should leave," he said. I smiled faintly. I already was. I walked out without another word. I blocked his number in the car. That night, I slept for 9 uninterrupted hours. 2 days passed. Then my phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. "This is Emma. I think you deserve to know the truth." I stared at the message for a long moment before replying. "Go on." "Mark told me you two were having problems," she wrote. "That you were basically done. We've been talking for a couple months now. I didn't know you were still together like that." 2 months. I felt my chest tighten. Not from heartbreak, but from the clarity of it. "Nothing physical happened," she added quickly, "but I thought you should know. I'm sorry." I screenshotted everything. Then I blocked her. Monday evening, my phone rang again. A different unknown number. "Hello?" I answered. "Is this Elena?" a woman asked. Older. Controlled. Nervous. "Yes." "This is Linda, Mark's mother." Of course it was. "He's been very upset," she continued. "He said you shut off his phone and left him without any way to work. His income's been slow lately." I leaned back on my couch. "We're no longer together." She paused. "He said you were overreacting." I found his ex-girlfriend in his bed. "She stayed one night," Linda said. That's what friends do. She stayed 12 hours, and they'd been texting for 2 months. Silence. I'm sorry he put you in the middle, I added, but I'm not turning anything back on. You could be more understanding, she said weakly. I already was, I replied, for 2.5 years. I hung up. A week later, Mark texted from a new number. I got a new phone. No thanks to you. I lost a client because I couldn't answer calls. You cost me money. I didn't respond. That Thursday night, he called, over and over. On the 8th call, I answered, but I didn't speak. Elena, his voice cracked. Please, I know you're there. I stayed silent. I messed up, he said. I was lonely. You've been busy. I made a mistake. There was a pause. I miss you, he added quickly. I need you. I can't afford... He stopped himself. I miss us. Then the voice changed. This number has been disconnected and is no longer in service. Mark froze. I hadn't said it. My younger sister Naomi, sitting beside me on the couch, had pressed play on the recording I'd prepared earlier. What? Mark said faintly. Hello? Naomi hung up. We looked at each other and burst out laughing. It wasn't kind. It wasn't mature. But it was freeing. After that night, I didn't hear from Mark again. Not directly, anyway. He tried once more through a mutual friend, someone I'd known long before him, asking if I'd at least consider talking. I said no. No explanation. No debate. I'd already said everything that mattered with my absence. People like to think closure is a conversation. Sometimes it's just consistency. Through those same mutual friends, pieces of the aftermath filtered back to me. Not in a dramatic way. More like background noise I didn't ask for, but couldn't entirely avoid. Mark and Emma tried dating. Officially this time. They lasted about 3 weeks. Apparently, once I stopped covering half his expenses, once the phone plan, streaming services, grocery deliveries, and temporary loans disappeared, things got tense fast. He leaned on her the way he'd leaned on me. She didn't like it. A friend told me Emma complained that Mark was financially irresponsible and too dependent. The irony was almost impressive. She broke it off, saying she wasn't looking to support a grown man. Without my quiet subsidies, Mark couldn't keep his apartment. He moved in with a coworker for a while. That didn't last either. According to the same grapevine, he missed rent twice and blamed bad timing and unfair circumstances. Eventually, he moved back in with his mother. Linda never called again. About a month after everything ended, she did text once. I'm sorry for getting involved, the message read. I didn't know the full story. You were right to walk away. Coming from her, that said more than any apology Mark never gave. As for me, something strange happened. In the quiet that followed, my life got lighter. Not because I'd won or proved anything, but because I wasn't carrying someone else anymore. I wasn't managing another adult's responsibilities. I wasn't second-guessing my instincts or shrinking my discomfort to keep the peace. I took the trip I'd postponed twice during our relationship, a solo weekend in Colorado. Snowboarding during the day. Long dinners alone at night. The kind of silence that feels restorative instead of lonely. And somewhere between a chairlift ride and a late-night conversation with an old friend, it hit me. I hadn't been generous. I'd been afraid of being replaced. I'd confused overgiving with security. Thought if I made myself useful enough, indispensable enough, I wouldn't be questioned. That realization stung, but it also freed me. 2 weeks later, I matched with Caleb. He was a physical therapist, stable, calm, unimpressed by grand gestures. On our first date, when the check came, he reached for it and then paused. Do you want to split? He asked easily. I almost laughed from relief. 6 weeks in, we still split everything. He has his own apartment, his own routines, his own boundaries. When I jokingly offered to add him to my streaming account one night, he shook his head. Absolutely not, he said. I like paying for my own stuff. Then he paused. Wait, did someone do that to you? I told him the story. He listened, really listened, then said, You didn't overreact. You reacted appropriately. That word, appropriately, landed harder than I expected. Someone from our old friend group mentioned that Mark had seen a photo Caleb posted of us hiking. Apparently, Mark called a friend crying, saying he'd made the biggest mistake of his life, that I was the best thing that ever happened to him. Too late. I'm not the woman who read Don't Overreact and silenced herself anymore. I'm not someone's safety net, or backup plan, or financial cushion. I'm just someone who knows her worth now. And that's worth more than every phone bill, streaming service, and temporary loan I ever paid for. Sometimes clarity is expensive, but it's always worth the cost.